friends and colleagues. You know, with the current pandemic and with globalization, this year gave us an opportunity to get in touch with different colleagues throughout the world. It gave us a chance to attend conferences and some other events in places where we usually would not be at because of the physical distance. And with this came an opportunity to listen to different presenters, to meet other colleagues, and also to see how the market works in other places. Not long ago, I started to notice some troubling situation, however. Uh, I started noticing that the more you have access to what is going on in other parts of the world, the more you run into situations that are kind of dubious, because when you go to a website and when you attend a conference or you look at a brochure from another country and all of a sudden you recognize materials or you recognize pictures of some of your colleagues, then you start wondering if these were obtained with or without their consent. Such a thing happened to me not long ago when, as I was virtually attending, a professional conference from another country, not the United States. I noticed that in between presentations, they ran a series of advertisement commercials online for different associations, organizations, and agencies, translation and interpreting agencies, that were advertising their services in that specific country. Well, there was an ad that caught my attention because during this video, I did recognize a video that I knew from before and I knew belonged to a colleague in the United States. Moreover, as I was watching this advertisement, I saw that my friend himself was a part of this video, and they showed a portion of the video that he has as part of his website. Uh, These coupled with some other instances from other agencies in some other advertisements abroad, where I have seen pictures of colleagues in action, where I have seen some work that you recognize as work done by some of your friends. And a previous experience I had where somebody was using my study materials, my teaching materials, while she was teaching a workshop somewhere else without my consent, made me wonder. So what happened is that after I watched several times this advertisement during this conference to make sure that I didn't make a mistake, I took notice of the website of this company and I visited the website to see if perhaps this colleague of mine, this friend of mine, was maybe part of this business venture, and therefore I would have no problem looking at that. Maybe just telling him, how come you don't film a new video for your new website instead of using the same one in two different markets? But anyway, as I visited the website, I did realize that this was one of those agencies that have an About Us section, but they don't mention the names of anybody. You don't see any names of anybody that is responsible for the website, responsible for the agency, or who the interpreters or translators that work with them are. After that, I decided then to go to and visit my colleague in the United States website to make sure that it was the video, although I was pretty sure because it was his likeness that what they were showing. And after I corroborated that indeed it was him, then I contacted him. And I contacted him because maybe the thing that I should do was to congratulate him because he was expanding his business overseas. Or if that was not the case, which I was afraid that was not going to be the case, to warn him of the fact that somebody was using his materials. If they were using them after paying him, I would have no problem, but I was afraid that maybe they were using these materials without his consent, and therefore they were just freeloading his work. I talked to him, and indeed, these people had never talked to him. He didn't even know of their existence, and these were his materials. He watched the advertisement on his own, and then I guess he contacted them and took care of the situation. But that made me wonder, because this, coupled with all the other images that I have seen in other countries showing pictures of our colleagues in the United States or in some other Western countries in action, coupled with my experience with this person that was even using my PowerPoint and my recorded materials teaching her class or workshop, And of course, as we all know, with the problem that we have with our resumes that are, victims of piracy and used by people all over the world when they bid for contracts or when they present themselves as these huge companies, and they kind of use your name or use your curriculum vitae to pump up the services that they provide, which are in reality not even close to what they are advertising. So I got to think, my friends, and I remember what I did in my case, which was I took this person to court. And I think that this is a very important thing because we cannot give these people a free pass. I know many of you are going to tell me immediately, well, I understand that, but it's going to be more expensive to have a legal battle against this person with attorney's fees, with legal fees, and with the time that it's going to take, because a process like this is very time consuming. And you are right, but even in that case, you have to take two things into account. Number one, in most countries, you can sue for damages, and therefore that other party, the party that broke the law, the party that is using your likeness or your intellectual property, your work product, will be compelled, ordered that is, by the legal authority, by the court, to reimburse you of your expenses and to directly pay for your attorney's fees. But even if it was not the case, I remember years ago, many years ago, when I was interpreting small cases in court, uh, among them shoplifting cases, that there was one day when I was in the courtroom and there were two big companies on the docket that were the complainants in these two different cases of shoplifting. One of them was Walmart, which is, for the ones that don't know it, a big American company that they sell just about anything: groceries, furniture, clothes, auto vehicles, everything. And the other one was J.C. Penney, a department store that I think already went out of business. At any rate, when they called the cases, I remember they called the J.C. Penney case first, and the defendant was there, but the person from the store did not show. So the judge dismissed the case, and I overheard somebody saying, oh, that's what happens with that store all the time, because it's more expensive for them to come to court than to just take the loss. Then they called the case from Walmart, and it was a case where the person had taken, I don't remember exactly what it was merchandise worth at probably about 20 or 25 American dollars. That's about 10 to 12 euros. Obviously, the case was going to be more expensive for Walmart because their attorneys were there. But I heard the attorneys from Walmart make a remark that stayed with me during decades now, all the way to the present time. And they said we have to draw the line somewhere and we have to teach everybody a lesson. Yes, this is going to be more expensive than letting this individual just get away with the shoplifting. However, this will teach others, this will send a message that with us, money is not an object when it comes to protecting our assets and to protecting our good name. And that stayed with me because I think that we should use that same philosophy here. So the first thing I would do is I would send a cease and desist letter to this individual agency, asking them to immediately stop using my likeness or my work product or my intellectual property. If they don't do it immediately, then I would take them to court. And I would take them to court for two things. Number one, I would ask, of course, for damages and attorney's fees and court costs, but I would also ask for injunctive relief. That is, I would ask for an immediate injunction where a judge orders them to stop doing that advertisement campaign, whether it's a video or it's brochures or it's some pictures online, or they're using my resume or whatever they are doing. So even though the case might take a little bit longer, they will not be able to keep exploiting what legally and lawfully belongs to me. So this is what I would do. And then after that, when I win the case, even if I don't recover anything because they declare bankruptcy or because they don't have any assets to answer, I would still have a judgment against them that will be very important, and I would take that to the Professional Association Interpreters or Interpreters and Translators or Translators Association of the country where this agency operates or countries where they operate, and I would file a complaint there, providing them copy of the judgment, so that this goes to their files, and there their ethics committee does what they need to do, expelling them from the association, suspending them, or whatever, and publishing the complaint. And I could research, and if this entity also belongs to any international association, I would do the same thing with international association, so that they learn their lesson and they stop doing this. Because I guarantee you, if you notice they are doing this to you, it is almost certain that you are not the only one, and it is almost certain this is not the first time they do it. Remember, nobody can use your image, nobody can use your likeness without your consent. That's a crime. Remember, nobody can take advantage of your work product. Nobody can take advantage of your intellectual property, whether it is copyright, trademark, patent, without your consent. And then you will decide if you let them use them or not. And if you decide that yes, you will decide whether you're going to charge for their use or not. That's the law. You are protected by the intellectual property legislation everywhere in the world, just about. So please don't take it on the chin. Teach them a lesson, because these agencies, which are usually pretty shady agencies that might be here today and tomorrow they may not, because they're going to reappear under a different denomination or maybe somewhere else, have to be taught a lesson. Don't take it on the chin. At least that is my opinion. Thank you very much.